Hey folks, welcome back. Time for a little look at another supplement for the Legend of the Five Rings 5th edition role-playing game. Today we're looking at Celestial Realms, which has just arrived to me. I have had a little look at the PDF before the book got here, so I've got some idea of what's coming forward in this book for us, but as you can tell, like other books in the line so far, it's really visually striking. It's got a great cover full of vibrant colors, gives you an idea of the theme of the book. It's the essential guide to the spirit realms. We've clearly got some kind of spirit rising from this whatever that is there. We've got someone in traditional dress in front of a beautiful Japanese-esque structure. Very much a Legend of the Five Rings kind of vibe coming from the whole thing. As far as the contents, so Celestial Realms details the numerous spaces that exist simultaneously with Rokugan, from the heavens of Tengoku, where the sun and moon oversee existence, to the blood-soaked battlefields of the realm of slaughter. This book offers you the opportunity to expand your knowledge and experience new locations. You'll find information for running games in and around the spirit realms, as well as information on the Phoenix clan, including rules for the fiery Centipede minor clan, plus new school spiritual artifacts, weapons, and techniques, details on the wicked blood speakers, the mysterious cults of Lord Moon, and guidance on how to make your own religious organizations, and guidance for implementing the Celestial Realms into your game, and how to create thematic complications and adventures. So it's a little bit more specialized, this book. I think if you're interested in the spiritual aspect, if you're interested in, the Kami and Shugenja and all that kind of stuff, and possible adventures in alternate planes of existence, then this is definitely one book that you want on your shelf. But not all campaigns may touch on this. You might want a more grounded political game, set mostly in the courts of various Rokugani castles. You may want to focus more on infiltration and shinobi and stuff like that, in which case this won't be up your street. But I think a lot of campaigns will feature players that will want to have a Shugenja or somebody who deals with some aspect of the spirit realms of Rokugani cosmology. So in that case, it's pretty relevant to pick up. And there is a lot of good content in here. Of course, first of all, we have the lovely end paper artwork, and then a copy of the cover work without the logos, which looks just as beautiful as we would expect. In the table of contents, standard kind of 144-page supplement. We've got three main chapters here. We've got, the first one is the Bonds of the Realms, so a little bit about the cosmology of Rokugan, the key realms, including Jigoku, the realm of evil, politics of the dead, different types of shrines and religious cults, and the influence of the Phoenix clan and their relation to these realms. Chapter 2, The Soul of the Empire, we talk about the Centipede clan, the paths of the Centipede, and new schools, advantages, disadvantages, heritages, etc. New ancestral swords of the clans, so new patterns and techniques as well. And in Chapter 3, we have the power of worship. So this is where we can get into designing religious groups, places, and conflicts, how that will work in practice, creating supernatural encounters, designing those encounters in an appropriate way, crafting adventures that make an appearance in the spirit realms, and all that sort of stuff. And realm by realm, it offers some hooks, conflicts, and troubles that could hook your players in, get them involved. And there's also some new titles, new NPC demeanors and templates, and some new NPCs as well. So quite a lot to chew into, content-wise. We start off as usual with a page of kind of introductory mood-setting fiction, and then a welcome to the spirit realms, where it summarizes the contents of each chapter and shows you, the basic outlines of the adventure seeds that it will scatter throughout. And right away in the first chapter, we get into the different types of spirit realms that are available and the cosmology of Rokugan itself. You'll find a lot of sidebars in here that offer perspectives on the spirits. So here it's describing, for example, there are different perspectives on how spirits communicate, depending on the order that your player characters might be dealing with, or the perspective from which they're coming. Then it talks about the order of the realms in Rokugani cosmology. So we have Ningendo, which is the realm of mortals, and is between the other spirit realms. And then below Tengoku and above Meido, it's the realm in which most mortal beings dwell. Throughout all time, Ningendo has attracted the attention of the other realms. As it is the crossroads between celestial realms, it cannot be easily influenced. It is in Ningendo that many souls attempt to fulfill their dharma, and souls who do not ultimately reincarnate in Ningendo if they are not sentenced to go elsewhere. So basically, that's where we live. Above Ningendo is Tengoku, the celestial court, and that's where we see the most of the fortunes, Lady Sun and Lord Moon, the elemental dragons, and some of the kami. From Tengoku, the dragons regulate the cycles of the seasons and the weather, while Tengoku's other denizens tend to the tasks of leading all sentient beings toward wisdom and their ultimate destinies, and of generally keeping the cosmos in working order. And set just below Tengoku, but within its bounds, is Yomi, the realm of blessed ancestors. So this is where human souls who have achieved their destinies go to, and from there they can watch over their descendants in Ningendo and guide the mortals who dwell there. Rokugani scripture holds that only the souls of samurai can enter Yomi, at least without considerable exception. Then we have, overlapping with the mortal realm, is Senkyo, the Enchanted Country, which includes the realms of sentient animals and shape-shifting nature spirits whose purposes are not fully known to mortals. Then we have Chikoshudo, the Animal's Path, which is one court of Senkyo that guides animals to a better reincarnation, while members of Sakaku, the Path of Mischief, or Illusion, embrace the form of animals and play jokes and tricks on other mortals. Yumedo is the realm of dreams, a place of fantasy and hidden truth. The connection to the mortal realm is poorly understood, but one cannot exist without the other. The greatest and most fondly remembered Nezumi, the rat-like inhabitants of the Shadowlands, live on in Yumedo as transcendents, the spiritual guides of the Nezumi tribes. And then beneath Ningendo, the human realm, is Meido, the realm of waiting, a vast place where mortal souls go to be judged by Enmao, the fortune of death. Never intended as a permanent residence for souls, Meido now struggles to keep up with the constant stream of dead resulting from disasters in Ningendo and undermining by Jigoku, who seeks to influence the realm. Then we have Gakido, the realm of the hungry dead. We spoke a little bit about them in the previous video where we talked about the Emerald Empire supplement. So this is a realm of punishment for souls who could not be satisfied in life. The greedy, the lustful, the gluttonous, and the power-hungry. So this is the hungry ghost realm in the kind of Buddhist cosmology. Then we have Toshigoku, the realm of slaughter. Another realm of punishment, but unlike Gakido, Toshigoku is the realm for the violent and the cruel, and is thought to have been created by the fortune of death, Enmao. And then finally, we have Jigoku, the wellspring of evil in the spirit realms. Comprising torturous strata of unending terrors, it is the domain of the ninth kami Fuleng, and his hordes of demonic minions. It's the source of the Shadowlands taint, a spiritual stain that twists the victim to Jigoku's embrace and strips them of autonomy. Most Oni, the native spirits of Jigoku, are demons who serve Fuleng and who have become twisted abominations. So we'll find out more about Omi later on in this book as well. So then there's some illustrations of how to travel between the realms. So the easiest way to enter another realm is to simply find a place where the borders are weak and one realm fades into another. And this is found through various places of power. You can also have liminal hours. So many folk tales concerning the spirit realms are set during twilight hours or at times associated with the spirits in question. So some believe that the borders of the realms overlap only at particular times. Then we have the spirited afar option. Some famous stories feature heroes who accompanied a guide into the celestial realms. So other tales are horror stories of victims being kidnapped and taken as punishment, or they cross over a border due to their own negligence. These rumors feature hungry ghosts, demons, or other monsters. And here we have a lovely illustration of the celestial realms in their kind of hierarchy. So up at the top we have the heavens of Tengoku. We have an elemental river that seems to travel above and around Tengoku here. Just below that we have Yomi, the realm of blessed ancestors. You can see the shapes of sort of elderly folk, blessed ancestors guiding those in Ningendo below. Then we have the realm of mortals, Ningendo. We have the linked realms of Yumedo, the realm of dreams there, and more of Ningendo here below. And then we have the realm of animals and mischief, where we find shapeshifters and tricksters and such. Then we have the Gakido realm of hungry ghosts, those who were lustful for power and other things. Then we have Meido, the realm of waiting. So this is where you go to be judged, and your ultimate destination in your next incarnation is determined. Then below that, we have Toshigoku, the realm of slaughter. Seems to be a battlefield. We have a castle keep on fire, various war bands clashing, various mounted warriors in various states of distress. And then we have the horrible, vile pits of Jigoku, hell, where we have tortured spirits and horrific centipede things. And so then we have below there some depictions of Oni. They are, of course, very much based on the depictions of Oni you find in Japanese historical literature and art. So there you go. That's the celestial realms kind of laid out for you. And then there's some more ideas here about visiting realm, praying to the fortunes, and what that might do for you. So there's some examples as well of popular lesser fortunes who may not have as much reach and influence, but deal with more local matters. So for example, Inari, the fortune of rice, a fox deity associated with both male and female aspects. Inari is associated with good harvests and plentiful crops, and is therefore very popular with farmers and peasants. Wild foxes are thought to be Inari's messengers, so Rokugani tend to treat them kindly. We also have Jotei, the fortune of morning dew, Osano Wo, fortune of fire and thunder, Suijin, fortune of the sea, Tenjin, fortune of stories and secrets. And here we have a section on the world above Tengoku, the celestial heavens. The beauty of Tengoku is such that its heavenly provinces stretch across the width of rolling clouds and floating celestial bodies, their massive pagodas rising before the backdrop of the infinite cosmos. Palaces rest on cloud foundations and float like skybound islands. Starry bridges connect the untethered places of Tengoku, as do shrines of gold and jade which serve to receive the offerings left by mortals of Ningendo. If mortal eyes ever beheld the provinces of Tengoku, they would surely marvel at the similarities between their palatial features and those of Rokugan, but the likeness is not accidental. So they're illustrating the connection between the kami, foundation of the great clans, and the resulting empire in Ningendo. There's more description here of the plains of the high heavens, the shrines of Tengoku, the heavenly palace of eternal life, the garden of infinite lotuses, and the elemental river, which we saw in the diagram of the overall layout of the realms. So it's higher than the heavenly palace, and this is the dwelling place of the elemental dragons, visible to the realms below only when the skies are in perfect alignment, appearing as a wavering band of colors cascading across the stars. This is the aspect of Tengoku about which sages know the least, for the elemental river is mentioned only in passing in apocryphal texts. So not too much detail here about the realm of the elemental dragons, but certainly this seems to be their main wheelhouse. Then we have some discussion of Yomi, the realm of the blessed ancestors. So again, this is where basically it's partly between Tengoku and the mortal realm. It's a paradise for mortal ancestors who achieve their destiny. It encompasses countless celestial manors and estates, each suiting the whims of those who dwell within it. But they can influence matters in the mortal realm by visiting or enjoy an eternity at whatever suits their fancy. So there's a kind of heavenly hierarchy like Rokugan, and it follows the celestial order, honoring a strict hierarchy of beings. At the top of Tengoku are Lady Sun and Lord Moon, who rule not only Tengoku but all of creation. Beneath them are the elemental dragons, the masters of the very machinery of the cosmos. Below the elemental dragons are the fortunes, first the greater fortunes, then the lesser fortunes. Beneath or beside the fortunes are the spirits who are permitted to join the others in Tengoku or Yomi. Scholars debate whether the kami and their direct descendants rank in the celestial hierarchy. Some put them just beneath Lady Sun and Lord Moon at the same rank as the dragons. Others reserve this position for Hunte himself and his son Hunte Genji, the Shining Prince. So interesting there that some believe the emperor to be more or less divine than others. Beneath the lesser fortune is a pyramid of lesser spirits and servants. These are Shinzoku, mortal souls, whose purpose is to facilitate the bureaucracy that is the celestial court and to carry out the wishes of their masters. Many beings consider this the highest honor a mortal soul can possibly achieve, even greater than eternal paradise and blessed Yomi. And of course we have a lovely set of adventure seed here, and now we have some details on the denizens of Tengoku of heaven. So Amaterasu, or Lady Sun, again well known in Japanese folklore. Onotangu, the Lord Moon. Not much is known about him beyond his role in the world's creation, the fall of the kami, and his growing volatility. Folklore is hesitant to mention him lest his legendary ire be drawn, but he's said to be powerful, jealous, and easily angered. Then we have the elemental dragons themselves. They've long been a fixture in Rokugani folklore and myth, but scant information on them is definitive, save that they can be seen crossing the night sky, weaving paths all their own. They're immortal beings of immense power. They can take any shape and appear anywhere they wish, although the elemental dragons have not appeared before mortals in centuries. Then we have the Ryujin. These shape-shifting servants of the dragons appear as splendid flying serpents, each corresponding to the element of their master and their appearance and abilities. Ryujin often serve as dragons' messengers, or occasionally as champions of beings with a dragon's favor. Then we have Kitsu. So before the fall of the kami, there dwelled in Ningendo, the human realm, a noble warrior pride of yokai, or monsters, known as the Kitsu. These feline beings resembled a cross between human beings and lions, with thick manes and golden eyes. The lion-like Kitsu are not thought to walk the mortal realms any longer, but that does not mean they are entirely gone. Most now dwell in Yomi. Some Shugenja with Kitsu lineage can call down their ancestors down from Yomi, becoming possessed by a Kitsu spirit for a time. Okay, so each spirit realm serves a purpose in the celestial order. Tengoku's purpose is to administrate the other realms and facilitate the moral advancement of mortals. The governing body that oversees the process is the Celestial Court. We get a little bit of detail about that. And then we get into the realms that are sort of more beside the human realm. So here we get into Senkyo, which translates as Enchanted Country or Immortal Country. And there's a lovely kind of scene here, a little bit of a crossover between the mundane and the enchanted for this gentleman here, passing perhaps into the realm of Senkyo. Many of the celestial realms exist above or below Ningendo, but Chikushudo, Sakaku, and Yumedo overlap and exist within, beside, and intertwined with the realm of mortals. As long as untouched wilderness regions surround Rokugan settlements, Chikushudo and Sakaku will remain connected to the Emerald Empire. As long as Rokugani must sleep, there will be Yumedo, the realm of what could be, and that's the realm of dreams. So first we talk about the realm of animal spirits, some of them being malicious tricksters, and some being more on the benevolent side of things. So there's no firm and fixed organizational principle applies to every court in the world of animal spirits, but certain features are present in more courts than not. One is the leading position of Great Tengu. Great Tengu is a spiritual and philosophical leader who is the highest authority of one of the individual courts that makes up Sakaku and Chikushudo, although this leader is not necessarily a Tengu themselves. The Tengu is a kind of ancient race. Again, it comes up in Japanese folklore, and I believe later on in the book, there's some more information about them. Then we have a discussion of Sakaku. So, a being who belongs to Sakaku typically obeys the following principles. Guard the natural world against human incursion. Take pride in what you are and the life you have, and plot civilization's downfall, especially through trickery. So this is kind of the trickster side of things, trying to ensure the survival of nature against the manipulation of the humans in Ningendo, perhaps. In Chikushodo, the animals and animal spirits interpret the celestial order as stating that virtue has its own rewards. The virtuous die and are reborn anew in a better form, while the wicked or mediocre fall lower or maintain their lower status. So an animal or animal spirit who belongs to Chikushodo typically obeys these principles. Spend your life training for your eventual rebirth as a human. Find the good in humans, and hunt down and destroy Jigoku's corruption. So these are more of our allies in the fight against the Shadowlands and the corruption coming from Jigoku, and for the moral advancement of humanity, whereas the Sakaku are more in it for their own purposes, shall we say. Yumedo is a kind of mysterious realm, being the realm of dreams. There are kind of three categories of dreamers that they lay out here. You have ordinary dreamers. They rarely experience any conscious control over their dreams and are mostly just observers or helpless participants. Lucid dreamers are dreamers who understand they're in a dream world and can take actions as if they were awake. Some people are naturals at this, or they can be taught it by somebody who works at it. So members of the Moth clan, known as Dreamweavers, and the Dreamers of the Nezumi are particularly good at this. And then there are those who can train particularly long and hard, can become a more advanced type of an aeronaut, sometimes called a Dreamwalker. These include the senior Dreamers of the Nezumi and the Moth clan's Kaikoga family. These skilled sages not only are capable of controlling their own actions in their dreams, they can also will things into being in dreams and even enter the dreams of other beings. Crucial to understanding the individual's place in the dream world is a concept of ma'ai, which will be translated as space or range. A dreamer's ma'ai is the space around them over which their dream has influence. As they move through Yumedo, they exert their strongest influence on their ma'ai. And the one thing a dreamer has no control over in their ma'ai is how they look to others. A dreamer's fear, desire, or regret, whichever is strongest, is thought to define their appearance. So Yumedo is certainly a very interesting place, and it's broad enough in its kind of, the possibilities that you can design there for adventures or interactions with dreamers, that you could really come up with some unusual and interesting story seeds, I think, for Yumedo. So dreams can be about anything, but certain patterns recur, and these dream patterns correspond to three main sins. We have fear, desire, and regret. Each creates a cluster of dream settings. So we might have uninhibited social interaction, and we can also have the crossover between reality and dreams. It is a little-known secret learned only by dreamwalkers that there are places where the real world and the dream world overlap. These dream junkers appear where the two worlds are the most similar. The occasional person will claim after a night of revelry that they woke up in a completely different city than the one they fell asleep in. Some Rokugani believe that such places so closely resemble many people's dreams that the real and dream versions become one during the night. There you go. So below the realm of Ningendo, we have Meido, which is the realm of waiting, as we heard before. So this is where the long queues of the dead, as we can see here, various different types of dead, waiting to be judged, and where the destination of their soul will be. At the center of this realm is the estate of Mo, the fortune of death. So souls go to be judged in the court of Mo within the estate. They consider the karma of the soul and whether the deeds of the soul in life and achieve their destiny. And then either you reincarnate in Ningendo to try again, or you graduate or possibly demote to a different spirit realm. So there's some detail here about Mo's estate and the court itself. Then we have some information about the Shinigami. Such spirits have the ability to possess mortals and bend them to their will. They speak to both the living and the dead and draw upon their power. Merely standing in the presence of a Shinigami makes a mortal long for death, likening it to a long, well-deserved rest. They can be sort of turned to by Shugenja, but they have a certain strong link to death and the afterlife. You can also have the Trials of the Dead. Since the sundering of Jigoku, the Trials of the Dead are anything but the flawless, easy process they used to be. Papers are often misfiled, testimonies often missing. The karmic weight of a soul can be difficult to judge due to extenuating circumstances caused by other realms. So there's active interruption of the karmic measurement process in Meido, coming largely from the influence of Jigoku and other trickster beings. Here we have an adventure seed based on karmic complications. Then we have Gakido, the realm of the hungry dead. A wise sage once said, humankind is not punished for its sins, but by its sins. Perhaps no greater example exists than the sorry state of the Gaki, or hungry ghosts. So as I mentioned before, these are people who are sort of eternally desiring something. They sort of turn into shades of their former selves, ghosts who are eternally longing, eternally desiring, and eternally hungry. They're mindless and starving, driven only to consume. It's really very much not pleasant existence, I have to say. So MO's priest described Gakido as a massive sprawling city beneath Meido, an enormous ruined slum into which hungry ghosts are simply tossed. The air is foul with the stink of the dead, as Gaki are just corporeal enough to smell of rot. The buildings are dilapidated and crumbling. So, not great at all. It can seem like a phantom shade of Ningendo, one where souls toil without purpose, pointless insipidity is the norm, and misery prevails. However, there is a possibility of escape, and there's also the mandate of Daikoku, the fortune of wealth, is to spend one's wealth as readily as one accumulates it so that all might share in its bounty. To hoard wealth is to dishonor the blessings Daikoku has bestowed. In keeping with this philosophy, Daikoku has great pity for Gaki for the gifts of Ningendo, which should have been shared, and instead entrapped them in a miserable existence. So it seems that he maintains an estate in Gakido in addition to his own estate in Tengoku, and according to these accounts, he tries to aid Gaki in their self-realization, offering them some respite in the form of sustenance or gold, which the Gaki consume. This can set up conflict between Daikoku himself and Enma-O, who is in charge of Meido. So then we move on to Toshigoku, the realm of slaughter. So this is a vast battlefield, a bleak and desolate plain stretching toward infinity. The grounds teem with the chaotic violence of constant warfare, and it is basically an eternal battlefield. Bordered by a wide river of blood and viscera known simply as Blood River, it is the destination of recently deceased pirates who stole and killed wantonly. On the Blood River, they ceaselessly fight ill-fated battles and drown, only to rise again on the shore and begin their efforts anew. Again, pretty unpleasant. Then we have Jizo's Ferry, so the fortune of mercy. He waits here to soothe those who died unjustly and guide them across the river and back to Meido, where he pleads with Mo on their behalf. We also have the Keep of the 10,000 Bones. At the center of the teeming eternal battlefield is a massive keep with sprawling towers and gates. From here, Mujoki, the chief administrator of Toshigoku, keeps watch over the realm. He permits denizens who show some sign of autonomy to join the forces within, where life is marginally better than it is in the waste beyond the walls. So each of these bad places does have some little pockets of mercy, often administered by gods of a sympathetic type. So that makes each place a little bit more complex, a little bit more interesting than just being a land of pure slaughter and violence and hideousness. So in many ways, Toshigoku is Tengoku's opposite, it says here. Tengoku is a land of peace and beauty, whereas Toshigoku is a terrifying place of violence and disorder. We have different kinds of spirits there. We have the Onryo, when a mortal dies to treachery or betrayal, or under a horrific or cosmically pointless circumstance. They may transform into a vengeful ghost, or Onryo. We have the erased. Like a crashing wave, these cut a swath through Toshigoku's battlefields, those who are felled forgetting who they are and rising again to join the ranks of the faceless. So these are the spirits of the faceless masses who die pointlessly during battle. Then we have some discussion of the crisis in Toshigoku, which seems to be, although of all the realms within Enma-O's domain, Toshigoku is the least troublesome. The realm is efficient and requires few staff. The souls within have little motivation to leave, so consumed they are by bloodlust and combat. There are more cases of successful rehabilitation from Toshigoku than from any other realm of punishment, making it the most successful of those realms. For that reason, Enma-O rarely pays it any attention, so consumed is he by other matters demanding his time. So much of the success is attributed to its chief administrator, a being known as Mujoki, the ghost of impermanence. So he was installed as the warden by Enma-O, and granted him the Keep of 10,000 Bones as a seat of power. He's a competent and powerful ghost who devised the methods for rehabilitating martial souls, having them use combat practice as a means of regaining the lost harmony within themselves. It is therefore unfortunate that Mujoki is no longer there. Oh no. Sometime in recent history, Fu Leng sent a group of Oni to infiltrate Toshigoku, kidnap Mujoki, and replace him with an imposter. There you go. So that's quite an interesting cosmic level plot the players could look into. Then below that, we have Jigoku, the realm of evil. Once a realm of punishment for evil souls reborn as demons, Jigoku served an important role in the celestial order, rehabilitating the evil dead so they could reincarnate as animals or other lower beings. It's an endless hellscape of pain and misery, obsidian mazes, rivers of boiling blood, and uncountable horrors that mortal minds cannot fathom. Ever since Fu Leng conquered that torturous realm, however, it has no longer served its original purpose. Instead, its denizens serve their own purposes or the agenda of Fulang himself. Jigoku has become the source of all evil, lost to the celestial order perhaps for all time. So that's where the influence of Fulang and the storyline of L5R comes to the fore. So Jigoku is a jealous realm, one that's expanding, causing blight, and taking whatever it can. And when it touches other realms, beings can be affected in various ways. So if you're touched by Jigoku in Toshigoku, then in the realm of slaughter, you will slowly grow more monstrous and animalistic, losing all instinct and thought except for violence. A hungry ghost touched by Jigoku will become increasingly angry and slowly catch fire, until they are completely enveloped by bright flames. In Meido, the affected will slowly have their thoughts replaced by increasing foreboding. Eventually, they become convinced that they are actually in a realm of punishment, and that Mazoku are tricking them and making them look like Meido. This eventually drives them to erratic and sometimes violent behavior, forcing Enmao to confine them to Toshigoku. In Sakaku, animal spirits who follow the path of the trickster are more likely to succumb to Jigoku's way, and they gradually lose their self-constraint, gradually reverting to non-sentient beings governed only by instinct. In Yumedo, one's dreams become nightmares when exposed to Jigoku's twisted touch, and the beings of Yumedo swiftly transform into monstrous abominations. So the taint of the Shadowlands is all-pervasive, and no matter where you are, it can cause you some significant harm. So there's some interesting aspects here about the politics of the dead. So the different relationships we've seen already between Enmao, for example, and some of the administrators that help Enmao do his bidding. We also have Rokugani folklore referring to 9 kami, but there appears to be a 10th one, a lost kami called Ryoshun. Then we get into the manifestations of these kami on Rokugani soil itself, so the shrines of Rokugan. A typical shrine will have a torii gate, which we've seen in many of illustrations in this book. We have a sando, the approach from the torii to the sanctuary, and a honden, or the sanctuary itself. Larger shrines will also have a kagura den, a building dedicated to the sacred kagura dance, shamusho, the shrine's administrative office, one or more setsu matsusha, or small auxiliary shrines, the haiden, an oratory or hall of worship, and Koma Inu, guardian spirits portrayed as statues of lion-dog hybrids who guard either the torii entrance or the honden. Those, in fact, are very common in real temples in Japan as well, and I believe they originally came from Korea and made their way to Japan. So then we have a sidebar here about various spiritual traditions throughout the empire and how these different practices can relate to the concepts laid out in this book, which is very useful. Here we have an example of a small shrine. So we've got the honden, which is the main sanctuary hall. We have the administrative offices in the shamusho, haiden, or the oratory hall, where you can go to hear about things. Setsumatsusha, which is the auxiliary shrines. The kagura den, where you dance the kagura dance. And the sando, which is the path of worship leading up to the honden. And the torii gate, where you begin your journey into the shrine. It's the shrine proper. Then it talks about the life within shrine and the practice of worship within a shrine. Then we talk about detailed descriptions of 3 very different shrines. So first, the shrine to Hunte Nokami, which lies in the Forbidden City, the innermost district of the imperial capital Otosan Uchi. So there's a bit of history there, some adventure, seeds, and the description from approaching the shrine, torii gate, and bridge to the sanctuary itself. And we have a nice illustration here of the central shrine here. And we also have our first stat block so far. Akado Tadeo, Inspired Zealot. He has the ability of the Devoted Sermon. So as a support action, he may make a TN3 theology check targeting all characters in the scene who can hear him, including himself. If successful, he may choose to either cause every target to receive 2 strife, or cause every target to remove 2 strife. So that could be quite powerful. You could cause a number of people to lose composure at once, or calm the whole situation down all at once. Either way. Then we have Sanpukuseido, or Cliffside Shrine, a remote and until recently relatively minor and obscure holding of the Phoenix clan. Again, we have history, description of the shrine as you approach it, some adventure seeds to get characters involved, and another stat block, this time for Asako Hisa, the Inquisitor, an older woman with graying hair and a somewhat furtive nature. She's an Inquisitor, a member of her family's secretive sect devoted to finding and destroying illegal magics in the Empire, particularly the evil blood magic known as Maho. So her main ability is, in fact, Maho Hunter. She knows the following invocations: Jade Strike, Mask of Wind, Path to Inner Peace, and Yari of Air. Additionally, once per scene as a support action, Hisa can grant 1 weapon at range 0 to 1 the sacred quality until the end of the scene. That, of course, will do additional damage to the horrible tainted creatures of the Shadowlands and those who are tainted by the blood magic of Maho. And finally, we have the Lost Shrine. So this has fallen into this disuse in the wilderness between the lands of the Lion and Scorpion clans. It not only has been lost to memory, but has become a place of profound spiritual danger. There you go. So this shows that you can also use shrines as a place of sort of angry spirits, trickster spirits, where it's not just a sanctuary for healing and for spiritual learning, but it could be a forgotten, angry, neglectful place. And here we have an adversary, the Forgotten Spirit. It has a very high conflict rank here of 10. Worshipping it as described in the practice of worship will mollify the spirit, at least until the visitor tries to cease worshipping or leave, whereupon it again attacks. So it takes the appearance as a huge spider, the size of a pony. It is black, chitinous, and hairy, similar to a tarantula, with a cluster of glowing reddish eyes and jagged, clashing mandibles. Not very nice. Yeah, and it's got a stat block here. So with the advantages of horrifying appearance, being a giant spider, disadvantages of a singular purpose. It's so focused on its anger and vengeance. It has many attacks, grasping claws with high deadliness and snaring ability, venomous fangs that are also razor-edged, have deadliness of 9, and it has a chitinous carapace, which has protection against both physical and supernatural attacks. It's an otherworldly spirit of silhouette 3 and ignores the effect of mundane terrain. And it has the ability of potent venom, so when it makes a successful attack action using venomous fangs, they may spend 2 opportunity in the following way. The target suffers one of the following conditions: bleeding, disoriented, exhausted, intoxicated, or lightly wounded, void. And then it can also cast webs. Once per scene as an attack action, the Forgotten Spirit may target up to 2 characters at range 1 to 4 of itself. Each target must resist with a TN3 fitness check, or suffer the immobilized condition. So you don't want to mess with these angry spirits. There's a lot of deadliness packed into that one creature. Now we get into another spiritual downside, which is the emergence of religious cults. So these are cults that lie outside the mainstream. We have the cults of Lord Moon. Most Rokugani see Onotangu as a perilous figure, not actually evil, but evocative of sin and disorder and dangerously volatile. However, the cults of Lord Moon think otherwise. So over the years, there's been a rise of the moon cults. Given the chaotic temperament attributed to Lord Moon, most of the cults that venerate him have a similar character. They tend to be loosely organized without rigid or complicated hierarchies. They are typically disorderly or even anarchic, and that can actually be quite appealing to some who are a bit sick of the celestial hierarchy of Rokugani society. We've got a lovely picture of a voyager through its spirit realm here on a Rokugani ship of some kind. And we have some detail about the beliefs and practices of moon cultists, the moon people themselves, and the Empire's view of the moon cultists. And then we have an example of Shun, an inspired moon cultist. He is equipped with the gifts of the moon's light. So once per scene as a sport action, he may make a TN2 theology water check targeting one character in the scene other than herself. If she succeeds, she grants the target the ability to choose one of the following invocations once: by the light of Lord Moon, rise water, or strike the tsunami. The TN of the check to perform the selected invocation is reduced to 2. If a character uses one of these invocations because it was granted by Shun, they suffer 6 strife after it is cast, and until the end of the scene, their water ring increases by 1, and their fire ring decreases by 1. So there's a bit of a cost associated with it, but she can grant you considerable power if she finds you to be of use. Then we have the Blood Speaker cult. The name Yuchiban is rarely uttered in Rokugan, and then only in hushed tones, taught with fear and contempt. Perhaps only the name of Fuleng himself is more reviled throughout the Empire. This is because the Yuchiban is responsible for dire events of which most Rokugani are vaguely aware, but most without knowing any meaningful details, just rumors and legends, all terrifying. So little is known about him. He was, his loyalists claim, a younger child of a past emperor. So he attempted to seize power over the Empire, but even the details of this are murky. Stories of armies of undead beings mingle with vague descriptions of powerful blasphemous rituals, horrific monsters, and even rampant spread of supernatural plagues. And he was eventually defeated, but has left in his wake Bloodspeaker cults who venerate Yuchiban as a godlike figure who personifies awesome and terrifying power. So Maho and other practices related to the taint of Jigoku are at most a minor part of these blasphemous sects, and they are entirely absent from many of them. The term Bloodspeaker is derived from the practices of blood sacrifice and human sacrifice to typify these cults, not just from the use of Maho. So they do love to sacrifice things. And more about that in the beliefs and practices of Bloodspeaker cultists. And we have an example here in terms of the Gatherers, and we have the Summoners. So this Bloodspeaker cult, for example, believes that even more obscure realms exist, including one that is host to beings utterly inimical to the mortal realm, far more so than even the evil realm of Jigoku. Moreover, the Summoners have come to believe that they can summon these beings to Ningendo in service to Yuchiban, and that the beings will prove unstoppably powerful. Then we have more, again, about the Empire's view of these cults, and quite an extensive adventure seed on how to get involved with the Bloodspeaker cult. And then we have a chilling Bloodspeaker, Akiara. So quite decent rank here, not much honor or status as you might expect. They're equipped with Whispers of Horror. Once per scene as a support action when speaking up Ichiban or the abominations that will enable him to take over the world. Akiara may make a theology air check targeting one person with a TN equal to the target's vigilance. If Akiara succeeds, the target immediately suffers 12 strife and becomes dazed. He also may wield 2 knives without penalty. When he makes an attack action with a readied knife against a target, they may immediately make a second knife action against the same target with the other readied knife. Very useful. And now we have some more detail about the Phoenix Clan. So here we have a zoomed-in view of the Phoenix Clan lands. We have seen, of course, the whole map of Rokugan in the Emerald Empire book and the core book. Here we have a zoomed-in look at where the Phoenix Clan makes their home. So we have a little bit more detail on some key locations in here. And so we'll have some more detail on their involvement with the Spirit Realms. And some new families, more detail rather, on the families of the Phoenix Clan, such as the Asawa, their reputation, their values, their cultures and traditions, and some associated adventure seeds, their religious perspectives, their current concerns, the lands of the Asawa, some key members of the Asawa family, and then we have Isawa Manami, a destined Shugenja. So she is equipped with the ability of the Adept of the Elements. Choose 0 to 2 invocations for each element, air, fire, water, and earth at the start of each game session. Manami can perform those invocations during this game session. So she has a great deal of background and a variety of invocations and can use different ones each session. That's pretty cool. Then we have the Shiba family, descended from their founding kami. And then we have details about their reputation, culture and values, religious perspectives, the lands of the Shiba, and another example NPC. This one is Kyorinrin of the Library, a yokai form from ancient texts. Oh, so it's a monster, in fact. This being, when gathered together, looks like a crude imagining of a great dragon with a long body and fang-filled face made of parchment and bindings. It loves to adorn itself in well-loved ornate text, as if wearing a kimono. Interesting. You can see that it has a 6 in its social ring up here. So it has favored weapons of strangling parchment, damage 2, deadliness 5, snaring, and unholy. And it includes supernatural incarnations, physical 3, supernatural 5, and unholy once again. And the ability of tainted whispers. The Kyorinrin of the Library knows the following Maho techniques and does not suffer spiritual backlash or require a sacrifice to perform them. Insight haunting, grip of anguish, sinful whispers, and unholy fervor. And those are detailed in the core rulebook. So, yet again, the spiritual adversaries are quite dangerous, supernaturally powerful ring attributes, and the access to very dangerous magic without the associated costs that mortals need to worry about. Now we have details about the Asako family. So compared to the Isawa, they had a more conventional origin. A skilled healer named Asako became prominent among Shiba's followers at the dawn of the Empire, and her legacy led to the Asako family's study of supernatural practices, led them to become guardians against corruption inside the Phoenix Clan. So they have more detail here about reputation and values, cultures and traditions, etc., etc. And then we have an example NPC, Asako Hikaru, the conflicted scholar, devoted his life entirely to the pursuit of knowledge. In accordance with that, he has the advantage of scholar and disadvantage of frail. So he's so dedicated to his scholarly pursuits that he's very bad at martial and physical tasks. Accordingly, he has only a wakizashi equipped as a weapon, although it is ceremonial and razor-edged and has a decent deadliness to it. His ability to use it is not so good. But his ability is focused on his knowledge. So he's a font of knowledge. As a support action or downtime activity, he may target any number of other characters in the scene to offer advice or information about a subject of which he is familiar. Choose a scholar skill. The next time a target makes a check with that skill, they reduce the TN by 1 and remove 1 strife. The Kaito are the Empire's newest great clan family, so they were obscure vassal family of the Isawa until 1123, and have grown since then in their influence. They have, of course, their own perspectives, lands, and influence on the Phoenix Clan itself. And we have, once again, a sample NPC from this family. We have Kaito Tsunade, an apprehensive courtier. Tsunade's ability is Rustic Charm. When they speak to someone with a higher status than theirs, they count as having rank 4 in social skills. Once per scene, after they speak to a character with a higher status rank, Tsunade may choose one character who heard them speak to remove 2 strife. Now we get into the soul of the Empire. Rokugan is home to all manner of gods, spirits, and supernatural beings. But there are those who tower over all others. The first is Lord Moon, the second is Amaterasu. Centipede clan are the foremost followers of Amaterasu. They view themselves as bulwarks of sacred traditions. So they're very devoted to Amaterasu, the Lady of the Sun. It goes here through the founding of the clan and their rise to status of minor clan. Then we have the 11 daughters of Isawa Azami and Isawa Kichi as they are remembered, and each is honored with a pillar at the shrine of the Lady Sun. So useful background information there. Then we have some discussion of the Centipede lands, their shrine of the Lady Sun, the Amaterasu Seido, and this is a shrine where Ningendo touches Tengoku. So there you go. There's also the Light of the Lady Sun Dojo, which is the shrine's accompanying school, lying further down the mountain. An ability unique to the Centipede is the use of fire invocations for healing. So that's something that they offer that other clans do not have. And they believe that as the ultimate manifestation of fire, Amaterasu enjoys many of the offerings that other fire spirits do, such as incense and kindling. They also believe that she likes depictions of Ningendo, such as paintings of the landscape and origami plants and animals, because they represent the creations of her and Lord Moon. So then we get to learn more about the library of the Centipede, their castle, their traditions. And then we have some information about the paths of the dragons. Centipede practice a tradition involving mapping the bodies of the observable sky, using the exercise as a form of meditation and a method of becoming closer to their mother sun. Many Rokugani believe that the elemental dragons reside far above Ningendo, with Lady Sun and Lord Moon. With this in mind, the Centipede name, map, and watch the bodies in the celestial heavens as the cosmic bodies move around them. So they're kind of a hobbyist astronomers a little bit, looking for signs of the elemental dragons above them. So paths of the Centipede, there's a few of those, a little bit detail on that. Allies of the Centipede, the oldest allies amongst them are the Mantis clan and the Falcon clan as well. They understand little about the Falcon, who work in shadow, while Centipede work in the light, but they recognize the Falcon as fellow mystics with an ancient spiritual duty. On the other side, they have strained relationships with some other clans, including their parent clan, the Phoenix. They also have a little bit of a strained relationship with the Lion clan, who once laid claim to Centipede territory. Then we have a sample NPC here, Moshi Chiasa, Centipede clan champion, who has a very high scholarly ability here, very good at social skills, holds a katana and a bow called Righteous Sunlight, and comes with blessed robes, which offer decent supernatural protection. And then 3 abilities. Favorite Child of the Sun. She can reduce the TN by 1 to activate an invocation, and she knows the following invocations already: Amaterasu's Gaze, Armor of Radiance and Extinguish, and Rise Flame. She also has Blessing of the Centipede. When she performs a check to activate a fire invocation, she may spend opportunity to select a target affected by the invocation. If that target would suffer damage, they remove that much fatigue instead. So again, we're seeing that Centipede use of fire rituals to actually produce healing results. Similarly, we have Righteous Sunlight. So when Chiasa performs a successful attack action using Righteous Sunlight, she may spend opportunity to do the following. Target can start burning, or if the target has the burning condition, they receive 3 strife for each opportunity spent this way. So she can cause a lot of strife with her fire spells. And then we have another Centipede NPC. We have Akodo Hinata, Headstrong Adept. So this is another Shugenja, it seems like. So Hinata was blessed by Amaterasu with a frightening amount of power. Okay. She's equipped with a katana, various mundane clothes and abilities, and then has undeniable sincerity. When making a check using a social or scholar skill, they reduce the TN of the check by 1. Additionally, when they make a social or scholar check, they may spend 2 opportunity in the following way. The targets of Hinata's check receive 2 strife if they attempt to discredit Hinata's words or cause Hinata's harm. This effect persists until the end of the scene. So very difficult to best her in an argument in a social scene or scholar skill check. She also has the gift of Amaterasu, which gives her the access to the invocations Biting Steel, the Fires from Within, and Wall of Fire. They can only be used if Hinata unmasked in this scene. That's interesting. And then we finally get into how to build Centipede player characters. So basically, you need to change your first answer in the game of 20 questions that you are a member of the Centipede clan. That gives you these different benefits: an increase in your firing and theology, starting status of 30, so a bit smaller since you're a smaller clan. And then you can be a part of the Moshi family. And as per all the other clans, we have a summary of what those characters know the most about and how they view the tradition of Bushido in that particular clan. And then we have some new schools to look at. We have the Agasha Alchemist School, which is Shugenja School. They have the Flesh of the Element School ability. You may have a number of additional potions with prepared invocations equal to your school rank. You can spend downtime activity creating a potion, and you may make a number of supplemental checks after the first to create additional potions equal to your school rank, but each check must be for a different invocation. At mastery level, they can do experimental concoctions. Once per session as a support action, you may make a TN4 medicine check to combine 2 potions that share at least 1 invocation effect keyword. If you succeed, the 2 potions become a single concoction with both properties. When the concoction is used, resolve the effects of both of the prepared invocations that are part of it. Oh, that's very interesting. So you can combine 2 effects into 1, perhaps creating a single, much more powerful impact. Then we have the Asahina Envoy School. So this is a courtier class. They have the Soul of Ceremony school ability. When you make a check to perform a ritual, you may add kept void dice set to opportunity results equal to your school rank. You may spend these opportunity as if the ritual were also a social skill check. At mastery level, they become favored counselors. When making a check to perform a ritual, you may spend opportunity as follows. One participant in the ritual with vigilance lower than or equal to opportunity spent this way feels especially indebted to you. You gain the ally advantage. Oh, so that can be quite useful. We have the Ishiken Initiate School, which is a Sage and Shugenja pathway. They have the Way of the Void school ability. So when you make a check using your Void Ring after rolling dice, you may receive a number of fatigue up to your school rank. If you do so, you may pull or push. If you pull, choose a number of dice with non-blank results equal to the fatigue you received and alter each to a blank result. If you push, choose a number of dice with blank results equal to the fatigue you received and alter each to a non-blank result of your choice. So you can either wipe out results you don't like by turning them blank, or taking blank results and altering them to any non-blank face that you would prefer, which seems very, very useful, but of course grants you fatigue, and that will make you more vulnerable in battle. Their mastery ability is the Essence of Emptiness. Once per scene, after a character rolls dice, you may receive 3 fatigue to alter any number of rolled dice to blank results. Wow, okay. And that's after a character rolls dice, so not just them, but anybody, in fact. You can alter their roll. And then we have the Kaito Spirit Seeker School. Lovely picture there at the top. A Bushi and Shugenja combo. They have the Body as a Shrine school ability. So in the presence of a kami, such as an elemental kami or other supernatural being the GM deems appropriate, you can make a TN4 courtesy check using a ring associated with the kami's element. If you fail, you suffer 3 fatigue and 3 strife and cannot attempt to act as a vessel again this session. If you succeed, you convince the kami to use your body as a vessel. This grants you the following. Anytime you make a check using one of the kami's elements, you may reroll a number of dice up to your school rank. Anytime you make a check using one of the kami's opposing elements, increase the TN by 1, and add 1 kept void dice set to opportunity plus strife. If you unmask, the kami is released. Mastery level, you gain Temple of the Heart. You may keep 2 kami within you at once instead of 1. All effects of the Body as a Shrine still apply. If 2 kami share an element, the effects do not stack for that element. Wow. So really intended to be a kind of vessel for spirits associated with the kami. Then we have the Kaiyu Architect School. They're an artisan and courtier combo. They have the Every Stone Serves school ability. Reduce the TN of your checks for downtime activities that alter your environment by your school rank to a minimum of 1. If you succeed, you may choose a number of mundane terrain qualities equal to your school rank and add or remove these terrain qualities from the area you affect. So they're good at building stuff, basically. Their mastery ability is the Flower That Binds. Once per game session, they can use their school ability on any check to alter their environment. When you do, you may also add or remove 1 supernatural terrain quality from the area you affect. Oh, very interesting. Then we have the Kitsu Realm Wanderer School, a Shugenja and Bushi combo. They have the Celestial Alignment school ability. As a support action, you may make a TN2 meditation check to draw one of the spirit realms closer to your current location. A number of range bands around your current position up to your school rank become a place of power of the realm you choose. This effect persists until the end of the scene. Wow. When you use your school ability, so this is when you achieve mastery, by the way. When you use your school ability in a place already linked to a particular realm, you may move yourself and a number of characters up to your ranks in meditation into that realm fully, leaving the mortal realm entirely. As a support action, you may make a TN2 meditation check to return yourself and a number of characters up to your ranks in meditation to the mortal realm. Wow, so you can use meditation to completely escape Ningendo and travel to other realms through places of power. And in fact, you can create places of power yourself if there aren't any conveniently nearby. Very useful. We have the Moshi Sun Sentinel School, a Bushi Shugenja combo with the Blazing Tears of Lady Sun school ability. So damage inflicted by your fire invocations is treating as having the sacred item quality. Items you augment or summon with fire invocations have the sacred quality. When you affect a non-tainted human character with a fire invocation, it does not deal damage to the target or inflict negative conditions. Instead, the character removes fatigue equal to your school rank plus the damage you would have dealt otherwise. Each character can only remove fatigue with this school ability once per scene. So that's, again, the unique characteristic of the Shugenja of the Centipede clan. So they use fire as an actual healing device. Their mastery ability is Rippling Flame. While performing a fire invocation, you may spend a void point equal to target additional characters equal to the ranks in theology or to increase the maximum range of the technique by 1 range band. Very cool. Then we have the Shosuro Shadow Weaver School, Combination of Shugenja, Bushi, and Shinobi. Their ability is Sudden Nightfall. You do not suffer any ill effects of obscuring terrain as a result of darkness. When you perform an attack or scheme action check against a target in terrain that is obscuring due to darkness, reduce the TN by your school rank. As a support action, you may target a position at range 0 to 2 and summon a cloud of supernatural darkness there. Oh, that's very cool. An area around the target position extending a number of range bands equal to your air ring becomes obscuring terrain. And that, of course, has no effect on you, so you can sneak up on them all you like. Their mastery ability is Shadow Assassin. Once per scene, as an attack and movement action, you may summon a Shadow Assassin. The shadow has no corporeal form and cannot be harmed. At the end of each of your turns, you may perform a strike action using one of your ready weapons, targeting any character in the scene who is in obscuring terrain, regardless of damage. Damage dealt this way is supernatural. This effect persists until the end of the scene. Wow. So you can create loads of obscuring terrain that has no effect on you personally, but screws everybody else over, and you can stab them from out of that darkness anytime you like. And then we have the Utaku Stablemaster School, Bushi and Sage. They have the school ability of Steed of the Kami. So when they make a check to handle, calm, or instruct an animal or beast, you may negate a number of strife results equal to your school rank. Additionally, once per scene, you may make a TN2 survival or theology check. If you succeed, you discover a rideable animal with combat conflict rank or 3 or lower that is appropriate to the environment. It's friendly towards you and gives you all the benefits of a mount, but its water ring is increased by your bonus successes to a maximum value of 6. Wow, so you can get quite a powerful mount this way. Their mastery ability is Master of Beasts. So once per game, as a support action, you may summon a number of animals equal to your water ring, their combat conflict rank 3 or lower. They appear from the local environment, they are friendly to you, and do their best to fulfill your commands. They stay to assist you until the end of the scene. If an animal becomes compromised or incapacitated, it flees back to the wilds. The GM is the final arbiter over what types of animals, if any, are available in a given environment, as well as whether animals remain after the end of the scene. Wow, fantastic. All right, so that's the end of the new schools. Then we get into new advantages, which include some new distinctions, like being famously kind, having a portentous birth, being a talented herbalist, some new passions, including bathing, that's an interesting one to be passionate about, festivals, Kyudo, which is archery, the art of archery, rather, religious study. Some new disadvantages include new anxieties about conspiracy, which is quite sensible, actually, in Rokugan. There's a lot of conspiracy around. You can be worried about omens of bad luck, uncleanliness. You can be vain. And there's some new adversities, including elemental deficiency. Great illustration here, by the way. Elemental deficiency in air or earth, or fire or water. And there are also some new heritage tables here. So there's some unique heritages that arise from having a bloodline derived, at least in part, from the Phoenix. So this presents backgrounds for characters connected to the Phoenix or to the spiritual world. So you can be associated with a natural disaster. One of your kin has written a great treatise, Guardian of Forbidden Knowledge. An ancestor has a story of having been blessed by an element, was born of fire, couldn't drown, or could swim as a baby, blah, blah, blah. A forebear sacrificed something for the greater good of their clan or the empire. They could be a spirit of the Phoenix. One of your kin was reborn, either literally from death, or figuratively through a public religious conversion, personal enlightenment, or famous second career after some debilitating trouble. Finally, they could be touched by the fortunes. An ancestor spent too much time with the fortunes and forgot their humanity, or saw a mystical truth too terrible to bear. There we go. We have some new gear. Suitably enough, these are spiritual artifacts. We have the Horagai of Sacred Rains. We have Daikoku's Mallet, which has some powerful abilities here and is empowered by Earth. We have Candles of the Moth, one of the many crafts of Moth Shugenja. We have the Golden Obi of the Sun Goddess, the obi, of course, being part of the traditional dress of the kimono. Then we have new tools for Shugenja, including new Omamori, the Boon of Hote, the Boon of Jirojin, the Boon of Kishoten. Then we have some new arrows for archers, including Fire Blossom, Hamaya, and Soul Star arrows, and those can be further differentiated by element. We have the Robe of Judgment, so they are signature garb of the Shugenja of Emma-O, white sanctified robes with Sode shoulder guards sewn into the sleeves of the shoulder. Then we have some new weapons, the Moshi Sun Axe, the Shakujo, which is favored by priests and some fortunate monks, a long walking staff adorned with 5 interlocked brass rings representing the elements. We also have the Tachi, the ancestors of the more commonly used katana, although they still see some use today. We have the Uchikatana, a descendant of the Tachi, shorter, lighter, and with a thinner blade than the Tachi. And we have the Whip, a common tool used by those who practice animal husbandry to protect animals from dangers like hostile animals and bandits. Then we have some pretty cool ancestral swords of the clans themselves. So Chikara, the ancestral sword of the Crab clan, is a Chokutsu, a straight sword of exceptional quality. It never rusts, never dulls, and cannot be taken apart. It can be cleansed by ladling ordinary water across its surface. It has range 0 to 1, damage 4, deadliness 7. It has the properties of ceremonial, razor-edged, and sacred. It cannot be damaged or destroyed, and its wielder is immune to the afflicted condition. So, in keeping with the crab clan, the Chikara, which means power, by the way, protects you from being afflicted by the Shadowlands taint. It also contains the Essence Eternal Invocation, which is activated using fitness instead of theology. Additionally, the inversion can target only the wielder of Chikara. So that's the ancestral sword of the crab. Then we have Shokujo, the ancestral sword of the crane. So it sings a brilliant note when drawn by a person who can trace their bloodline to Doji. It has a range of 1, damage 5, deadliness 5, ceremonial, durable, and sacred. And it contains the Witness the End inversion, which is activated with meditation instead of theology. It can be activated only at the end of the stare down in a duel or clash, and then the TN to activate it is always 1. The ancestral sword of the dragon is the blade with no name. It's a warrior's koan, the true comprehension of which unlocks the warrior's potential for sword mastery. This takes years to fully achieve. There are no shortcuts. From time to time, koan come to your mind unbidden. These paradoxical riddles particularly pop into your head when you're just about to sleep. Mastering the blade with no name grants the character the inversion the lotus blooms, which they can use once per game session and is activated using meditation and theology. Then we have Shori, ancestral sword of the lion. If the wielder commits a dishonorable act, the blade fills their head with the roars of 10,000 lions. It sounds painful. It has range 1, damage 6, deadliness 6/7. It is ceremonial, durable, and sacred. It has Mandate of the Chrysanthemum. While in possession of Shori at the sanction of the Emperor, the wielder does not forfeit glory for major or massive glory breaches. It also contains the 3 heartbeat inversion, which is activated using command instead of theology. Then we have Ofushkai, ancestral sword of the phoenix, which appears to be a rather magnificent glowing blue blade. So it is home to a generation of Phoenix clan champions. Only the Chiba it has chosen as clan champion can draw it, and that daimyo can call it into their hand from any distance. In the hands of anyone who does not have the ghost sanction, it is useless. It has a range of 1, damage 5, deadliness 4, ceremonial, durable, and sacred. And it holds Sumaru's love. The wielder of Ofushikai can breathe and speak underwater as though they were in land. Okay. It contains 1 with the void, the inversion, which is activated using theology instead of sentiment. Additionally, the inversion can target only the past wielders of Ofushikai who inhabit the blade. These ancient spirits use the venerable provincial daimyo profile and the rules for spirits. Okay, don't really understand that, but there we go. Itsuwari, ancestral sword of the scorpion. Looks like that one down there. The shadow ink on the blade shifts to show the Scorpion Clan champion's current location. That's interesting. It is range 0 to 1, damage 4, deadliness 7 8, a little bit higher than some of the others. Ceremonial, concealable, durable, and sacred. It is the Shadow's judge. After its wielder makes a successful attack action targeting the Scorpion Clan champion, the champion suffers a critical strike with severity 16 and automatically counts as failing their check to resist it. Wow. Okay. Itsuwari contains the ethereal flicker inversion, which is activated using skullduggery instead of theology. Then we have Hayai, ancestral sword of the unicorn. It's a scimitar of unique make. You can see the scimitar shape up here. Designed with influence from outside of Rokugan, so it fits with the unicorn profile of having more connection with Gaijin than other clans. If it's held while sheathed, an otherworldly voice sings in the mind of the wielder, either soothing or frightening them, depending on the state of the wielder's heart. It has range 1, damage 5, deadliness 7, ceremonial, durable, razor-edged, and sacred, and it contains the Shattering Caress inversion, which is activated using sentiment instead of martial arts. Then we have Kiro, the lost ancestral sword of the Kirin, which is down here. So this is Shinjo's personal blade. Many attempts have been made to find and recover it. All thus far have failed, okay? So instead, this must be Kunshu, the ancestral sword of the Hunte. It's a perfectly balanced Jian. When Kunshu is touched by 2 or more people, it glows if either of the individuals touching the blade wishes the other ill will. Oh, that's interesting. Can cause some intrigue and social encounters. It has the properties of range 0 to 1, damage 6, deadliness 5/6, ceremonial, resplendent, and sacred. And it contains the Slip the Cycle inversion, which is activated using martial arts instead of theology. There we go. And also some of the minor clans have ancestral swords, which are not detailed here so much. We have some new item patterns, the Agasha pattern. So this is the Agasha family of the dragon, who are skilled smiths. If you perform a successful attack action check using a bladed weapon purchased in the Agasha pattern, the target suffers 1 supernatural damage. Cool. And then we have some new techniques, including air invocations. We have earth invocations as well. A good few of them, in fact, which makes sense given the sort of celestial nature of this supplement. Fire invocations, water invocations, and again, I'm not going to go through all these. I've spent so much time already. and I do apologize. Then we have some rituals. So these are more available to those beyond just the Shugenja occupation. A few different rites that can be performed here. Then we have a little bit about the mysteries of the void. That's interesting. And the connection between peasant, samurai, and the void. Yeah, some other aspects of wielders of the void. And inversions, which are techniques used by Ishiken and other void wielders. They are not the same as invocations used by Shugenja, although some Ishiken can use invocations. There you go. So if you're wondering what inversions were, now you know. And then we have some examples here. Void inversions are journeys into nothingness. Therefore, unlike techniques, inversions can make use of blank results via magnitude. Interesting. So magnitude is determined by the number of kept blank results. Magnitude effects are not optional, and multiple effects are resolved if applicable. Very cool. So they work very differently from other types of magical influence in the Rokugani world. Then we have various rank 1 inversions, which are detailed here. As a random example, let's pick Ethereal Flicker. One of the most straightforward yet effective tricks a wielder of the void can use is to set themselves slightly out of phase with space and time. They walk in the gaps between moments that are imperceptible to others. From the perspective of anyone else, strikes and projectiles fruitlessly chase the void wielder's ghostly afterimage, never quite catching up to their true location. So basically, to activate it, make a TN3 Theology Void check targeting yourself. If you succeed, you augment and curse yourself to be slightly out of phase with reality. Each time you make a check to reduce the severity of a critical strike, use Theology instead of Fitness. If you reduce the strike's severity to 0, you do not suffer it instead. This effect persists until the start of your next turn. And you have a new opportunity, so you can spend opportunity to reduce this critical strike to 0, and each time you do that, you may immediately move one range band, vanishing and reappearing at a new position and ignoring the effects of intervening terrain. So when you get a critical strike down to 0, using this inversion, then you can basically teleport to a new location, which is pretty cool. Depending on the magnitude, which again is your kept blank results, magnitude 1 to 2, it persists for a number of additional rounds equal to the magnitude. At 2+, each time you reduce the critical strike severity to 0, you may choose a character at range 0 to 1 with vigilance lower than or equal to the magnitude. That character suffers a critical strike with severity equal to the critical strike you suffered before reductions. Wow. If magnitude is 3 or 3+, the effect persists until the end of the scene. So yeah, there's quite a lot you can do with these. They definitely function quite a bit differently from invocations. And I wonder if there are more of these in other books as well, or if this is just a feature of the Celestial Realms book. But it's very, very cool. So we've got inversions going all the way up to rank 5 here. Yeah, very cool. And then we have the powers of worship section. So this is about designing religious places, working out why a religious group exists, their characteristics, their practices, their worships, what kind of paraphernalia they use, how they're placed in society, then their background, core beliefs, and focus. So there's some examples given here as well, who their core believers are. And then this basically walks you all the way through the process of creating a religious group called the Children of the White Wolf. Then we have some guidance on supernatural encounters, creating them, how to work with the prevalence of the supernatural in the setting, whether you want it to be subtle or more obvious, how hostile you want it to be, and how to design a supernatural NPC, of which there are a few good examples, of course, in this book itself. And then putting it all together, so also what can happen if you encounter the elemental kami, or manifestations of it thereof, and how to craft an adventure that touches on the spirit realms. So realm by realm, it gives some hooks, conflicts, and troubles that can appear. It's all really handy for the GM. So things that can happen in Tengoku, in Yomi, in the beside realms. So that includes like Yumedo, Chukoshudo, and Sakaku, etc. The below realms, so Meido, Jigoku, Gakido, and Toshigoku. So, and then some specific places of power. So these are places tied to Tengoku. There's a narrative effect as well, so that might give the players a hint that they're in a place of power. A few places linked to Yumedo, some to Chikoshudo and Sakaku. Others linked to Meido, Gakido, Toshigoku, and Jigoku. Probably best to avoid those places, frankly. And yeah, then we have a few new titles. So you can gain a bond with a spirit. You can be a moon cultist. And then there's some new demeanor and NPC templates. So a new demeanor of righteous, and NPC templates for Phoenix Clan and Centipede Clan Samurai, and a new NPC profile for the Dream Stalking Baku. Again, a well-known mythological creature in Japanese mythology. They're the Eaters of Dreams. Yeah, and then we have some more information about the tenets of Bushido, and specifically righteousness, which is linked into the theme of kind of religiosity and spirituality throughout the book. So at long last, we've reached the end. Wow, that's quite a book. I mean, I went into a lot of detail here because the celestial realms of the L5R mythology are of great interest to me. I love the aspects of Shinto and Buddhist thought that are weaved into them, but there are original elements, and the way that those are produced in gameplay I think is really interesting. I like that there's new types of magic in here. There's new types of spiritual adversaries. There's a lot of new lands and aspects introduced, including places of power. We have the Centipede clan. We have all this stuff. Again, you know, it's a relatively short book at 144 pages, but more than enough to talk about for an hour and 15 minutes. So I'm not going to complain. My love affair with this book line continues, so I only hope that the next volume will be just as exciting as this one. Anyway, I hope this helps you decide whether the book line of L5R 5th edition is right for you. I know it has been a great journey for me. I'm very much looking forward to putting together a campaign with this. Definitely will feature some Celestial Realms aspects. This is one of my favorite parts of the lore in the past editions as well, and I feel like this book does a really great deal of justice to that theme, so I'm quite happy with that. And I'm a big fan of, as I said, of the narrative dice mechanics. So, and it's amazing actually the amount of crunch in each of these books is quite surprising. I think some people thought that, you know, 5e moving to a narrative dice mechanic would mean it would be less crunchy in some way, but I don't find that to be the case at all. There are a lot of different ways to use your dice and your abilities in this game. Each ability has quite a lot of rules associated with it, and not enough to be overwhelming, but it's enough to make sure that you have plenty of choices in any given scene, and I think that, to me, the balance is just about right. It's similar to the Star Wars game, where the narrative dice are there, but there's actually a huge amount of interesting, fully fleshed out systems for things like constructing gear, modifying gear, all this kind of cool stuff that you might want to do in Star Wars. And I get the same vibe here. The things you would want to do as an L5R character are fully fleshed out. Your options are there in spades. And certainly I don't feel like the crunch has been toned down significantly. In fact, perhaps it's gone more the other way. So anyway, I'm really loving 5e so far. Hope you're enjoying my in-depth look at it. I really will try to get these videos shorter, but you know how I am. You know, I'm an academic. I talk a lot. That's kind of my whole thing. But I will try and come up with a method to talk about these books in less than an hour. Let's set that as a goal. In any case, I hope you enjoyed our deep dive look at Celestial Realms. Let me know what you thought in the comments. And if you have more hot tips on playing in the Rokugani Empire, please, as always, let me know in the comments. Until then, take care of yourself, be well, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. All right, take care, and bye-bye.